Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Intel Extreme Masters. The battle station continues to rage on, so do the games, and I am joined to my right-hand side by Rotterdam and an interesting fashion sense of Mr. Pig to get things going here. I'm loving the popped collar just on one side. I don't know if you know if it's actually happened, but it looks... You're a half Baron, half Pig.
Looking pretty cool.
There you go. Perfect. Okay, so we have a few games that are going to be going on in a moment. We're going to have Serral versus Zest on the main stage. We're going to have Impact versus Neeb, and Rotterdam's going to be covering that one, correct?
Yep, I'm already covering it, actually, if you're wondering why I'm not listening to anything you said.
That's fine, nobody listens to me
I'm
anyway.
absolutely listening, James. But there was actually a lot of pressure. If you guys want, we can go ahead and jump into the game real quick, because I don't think Serral and Zest are totally ready yet. The score is 0-0 at this point. Neeb just opened up very aggressively, and he did a tremendous amount of damage. He killed 27 drones. And all he basically lost was a bunch of adepts. He did have, of course, the oracles helping out to arrest as well. But Impact was just not ready. He had a roach one, but he didn't have a single roach. And yeah, it's not very useful then.
Wow, look at that extractor, Kev. Is that a bloodbath?
It's trying to turn into one, but it's not really... so far, the creep is winning, Pig. But eventually, the entire map will be covered in blood.
That's right. It's a farce, a farce. Anyway, thank you very much, Rotterdam.
Yeah, sorry, one last thing. Impact is right now trying to catch Neeb off guard with a Spire. That's pretty much his comeback play.
Cheeky.
Yeah, exactly. Cheeky Kaelaris. That's what he's trying to do.
That's right. Rogue versus Nurtio is going to be covered by our resident Zerg expert, Mr. Pig.
Indeed. And game one just finished up. Rogue going for a nice big Ling Bane pressure. Committed a little bit more than Nurtio was expecting. Busted his way in and got massive drone kills. That was on Eastwatch game one. Nurtio just tapped out. He was way too far behind. So we're going to go into map 2, and I'll give updates as we go along. Map 2 is going to be Catalyst.
Cool. I can still hear Impact versus Neeb going on there, and we are back. So let's just briefly talk about Serral versus Zest. What a fixture!
Yes, on paper that's obviously an amazing fixture. That's one that will pretty much excite every single Zerg and Protoss out there. And even if you're Terran, you should love it. For Zest, is a really big moment. A couple of weeks ago, he lost in the quarterfinals of the Intel Extreme Masters Pyeongchang. He lost against Elaser. Serral is just as good, if not better, than Elaser in this matchup. And Serral can pretty much seal the deal for himself if he wins this one. Let's say he wins it 2-0. I don't think anybody can catch him anymore. He will finish first in this group regardless. Serral, the only one that's 3-0. Zest combined with all the others 1 and 2. Zest needs the win here.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I'll check in with you for your laptop games in a bit. I see a win there, a cheeky win. All right, so good job by Neeb. For now, though, we are ready to go to our series. So let's get ready, of course, for Serral going up against Zest.
We've already seen some crazy matches today, and coming up next, we have a ZVP of Champions. Up first, we have the recent WCS Leipzig champion, and he'll be going up against a 2-time GSL champion. Please welcome on stage, it is Serral and Zest!
Oh my god, it's gonna be Serral going up against Zest. Todd, can you think of a better PvZ that you'd more like to see right now?
No, I can't, and that's because these guys are the absolute best of their race. And right now, Serral definitely the hotter player here in this tournament, a 3-0 score in this group, whereas Zest having a little bit of a tougher time. We also saw on the ticker their recent statistics in the matchup with Serral being, I think he was 13-1 in series, whereas Zest actually with a negative score. So having a little bit of a tougher time here for the Protoss, but I mean, it's Zest. You can never really count him out, a previous champion here in Katowice.
He certainly can beat anyone at any time, but you're right, Serral is killing it so far today. We just got finished watching that just epic match against Neeb. I mean, that was, what a close and crazy, wild game that was, but Serral still pulls it out. He's in first place in the group so far, and if you recall, Todd, last year in this same tournament, he won his group. All right, we're getting ready right now. Serral versus Zest, best of 3. If Serral wins this, I think he's almost locked at that point on going forward. Of course, the Zest, he is one of these players that is 1-2. He needs this win very badly. Let's go ahead and introduce these players. On Acid Plant in the bottom right, our red Zerg from Finland. It is Serral. That's Zest. And his opponent in the top left, our Korean Protoss player, it's Zest. Again, it's Zest.
It is indeed Zest. Very good in Protoss versus Zerg. I'm actually surprised that these are his actual stats that we just saw.
Yeah,
He's having a tougher time. I guess he's played against a lot of top Zergs, and the matchup can be difficult at times. Obviously, when you compete against the best in the world out there. All I like, Serral, I have to say, he's pretty good in Zerg versus Protoss, but it's not like, you know, he had a flawless victory against Neeb. That last game was pretty darn epic. I think it was like, what, 37, 38 minutes of non-stop action. Serral he's almost like a little demon in that matchup. He's all over the place with his Zerglings. He's doing multi-pronged attack like he was a born Terran player or something. He has a lot of good strengths to his play. That makes it very difficult to actually face him, but Zest definitely has his own aggressive style. Sometimes he goes for a bit of a throwback with more sentries and attacks. And we saw him earlier in the tournament against Nurture, I think he was, lose 2 Zealots in that one game. So he's definitely capable of playing very well in the matchup.
It's very true. Maybe he'll get aggressive here once again, right? Like, if that's working against Nurture, certainly it could work against Serral. And from what we've seen, these later games in Protoss versus Zerg so far today, not going the way for our Protoss players that often.
Yeah, I mean, Zest, usually a lot of the time against Zerg, we will see him open with the Stargates, do some light harassments, and then from there, the standard in the matchup right now is to kind of go into charge with some High Templars. Either you want to open with a few Archons and go into Storm, or you want to commit more on the Charge Lot and Archon side of things to really try and make something happen. That's only if the opponent kind of misread what you were doing and you think you can punish them. A Zerg that goes into Roaches will be able to defend that, but then obviously if you can bait the Roaches out of a Zerg and you mass Immortals, we all saw what can happen, and those Immortals can actually slaughter those Roaches very, very well. And Zest, that second game as well against Nurture, remember, like, there was 70 Banelings, and he made it look easy, landed the perfect storm, microed, never let the Banelings connect too badly, and he's actually going to open with the Twilight Council there, a little bit of a almost unusual at this stage. Like, I mean, it's not crazy or anything, but we see a lot of Stargates.
Well, he's definitely mixing it up a little bit here to start. Like you said, the Stargate opening kind of is the standard for the matchup. But to be going for a Stalker here, this could clue Serral in. To get a Stalker this early, you're really trying to prevent scouting from any Overlords.
Yeah, and usually when you see that quick a Twilight into a Robo, there's going to be a Dark Shrine made, which is like almost like the old school build. A lot of the time, you can still go for Glaives if you want to, but the main reason you will want to rush that Twilight is because the Dark Shrine takes a long time to actually go up, so then it can line up with the additional gates that you go into. I really feel like Zest might be trying to catch Serral a little bit off guard. It's Acid Plant, so usually there's going to be one Overlord very well set up around your base that you need to mine, and that's the one here around this natural. So by going for a Stalker, you can really zone that out very well. And Serral is thinking that it's a Stargate so much that he's actually getting 2 Spores right now, completely blind.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, the Spores can be useful if the Dark Templars come in, but generally, it's a more Archon-focused attack. Now, with that Overlord coming in and the fact that a Stalker is going to be hitting it and he hasn't seen any Stargate units, do you think he might be kind of leaning towards saying, oh, could this be an Archon draw?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, by a certain time when you see no Stargate unit coming your way, you might be able to realize that there was no Stargate made. Did Serral cancel any Spore? Because I think I saw them vanish from that production. So he canceled the one in natural. What about the main base? Okay, he left the one in the main base. I mean, nobody ever really tried DTs from there, but then the one time they do, it could be the time that is super dangerous. Like, if you can snipe the third base, that'd be great. But if you look at the layer timing in the production tab, it's not going to finish in that long. I do think that if Zest swapped in 4 DTs and went for that third base, he would get it, though.
Yeah, he will get it. Watch this. He's going right for it with the 4 DTs.
The Spore is moving right now for Serral.
Oh, my God.
Plant that on time.
He might still get this. I mean, the 4 Queens coming up. Zest starting to pull away a little bit. Looks like he's a little bit afraid of trying to finish that up, but that's okay. He can retreat and make some Archons.
This is so sick by Serral. The Spore was just in range to detect DTs. I think he finally read into what was happening. What a defense by Serral. Because if he had moved it a little bit too far forward, those DTs could have jumped on top of the Spore, sniped it, and then that would have been a hatchery dead. But Serral, with the appropriate defense early on, he now realizes it's going to be Zealots and Archons soon attacking into him. No charge has completed just yet. It actually only now starts.
Well, these Zealots are just here to kind of tank some of this damage, deal a little bit extra as well. But look at this huge Queen amount right now. Focusing down this Warp Prism, he's got to save those Archons, so you can't be losing those so early.
As Serral did this so well, he used the Queens to tank in the first place. He then moved them to the left to attack the Warp Prism for as long as he could. He's going to lose a bunch of links, but he doesn't take any real economic damage where he started losing drones. So Serral able to drone a little bit more, going straight into Hydralisks, and the creep spread hasn't been denied at all this game, so he really gets that going very, very well. And usually from there, like Zest has his choice to make. Like, does he want to go into a Templar Archives on 4 Storm soon? Because if he doesn't, he's going to be stuck on Archons, which against high amounts of Hydralisk and Banelings might not necessarily be that good.
Yeah, especially when you get a lot of Hydras out there. The Archons can die quite quickly indeed. In fact, this Prism's pretty low. He's got to be careful. You don't want to be losing your Warp Prism. You don't want to be losing those Archons.
Yeah, +1 missile actually now going to start for Serral. You never almost really expect Serral to be going for 66 drones and then just making units and attacking. No, he's not that type of player. He would much rather go into 4 bases, go into a hive, keep on taking, get all of his upgrades, and later on really start opening up more attacks with Zerglings, maybe Lurkers, some Banelings, and Hydras kind of all over the place.
Well, to be honest, Todd, like, I know that Serral normally plays like that, but this game is mostly just down to Archon charge lot. I mean, there's a few Immortals mixed in, a few Sentries, but there's still no real dedicated splash damage for Hydra. So I wouldn't mind seeing Serral get a bit aggressive.
Yeah, we'll see if he chooses to do so here in a minute. He's working on that 4th hatchery, still droning up a little bit here and there. You don't want to start 15 drones in a row, because then if Protoss moves out like this and attacks you, you might just die. So Serral made sure he squeezed out quite a few units here while adding on a few more drones. He's actually going to play it very safe here and cancel that 4th base as Zest.
Yeah.
I guess he does a good job of pushing back the creep here.
Well, look at the force fields that are available on those sentries. I think that was a good cancel by Serral, but this gives a little bit of an edge to Zest, if you ask me. He's doing a great job clearing up the creep. He's forced to cancel on the 4th base. Look at this, just walking down, killing every active tumor.
Walking around the map like he owns it, Artosis here on Acid Plants. That was a dangerous timing, actually, for Serral. Like, he needed to make sure that he had enough there, because there are sentries available. So the position, extremely important for Serral. That's why he's staying up that ramp. Whoever moves up or down a ramp could be in big trouble there. Serral finally confident enough to do just kind of that. But I don't think he can go up this ramp. If perfect force fields land here, he's going to be in trouble. Zest with 2 more Robos. He wants to go into a ton of Immortals.
Oh my gosh, this is just all the rage at the moment. We don't see any other tech being added on, just a lot of robotics production. So that's going to be a very strong army. Just now starting the Templar Archives. That is insanely late to be playing against this type of unit set.
Yeah, but usually it doesn't matter how late it is, right? As long as you can secure Storm, it's going to be okay. Like, obviously, you will not have too many High Templars with high energy for that many Storms. But if you can reach it, you're usually doing something good regardless. I guess the sentries could buy Zest some time. Serral has been making a ton of units though. I said he wasn't the kind of Zerg to get 66 drones and then just mass units and attack, but I might be wrong. Okay, so he's droning up a little bit more, but he still made a ton of units, and this is really around the time Serral will try to make some fantastic attacks happen.
Oh my gosh, a lot of Banelings rolling forward right there. A huge force field wall is thrown up, but I mean, with these 5 Immortals, I don't know that that's enough to kill off this many Hydras. He's going to have to lose that Nexus. It goes down. I don't think that was even a cancel.
And that's a slow warp in here happening on that base. The Warp Prism wasn't there just yet. Serral connects big time with a lot of these Banelings, and so many Hydras are left over here.
Oh, the Prism barely making it out alive, getting healed up a little bit. He still has an Immortal in there. Needs to drop it out. He needs every unit he has right now to fight against this Hydra Swarm. Pushing forward, gunning down Immortals, but great micro here by Zest.
Serral perfectly identifying what was happening. He realized that Zest was just going for mass Archons off of Dark Templars, that he wasn't going to be able to have Storm on time against an upcoming attack, in which case, if you have the critical mass of Hydralisk, this army is going to die so fast here. From Zest, are you supposed to defend against a couple Banelings as well? He struggled, he landed a couple force fields, but then the follow-up was there from Serral, who gets a great trade here in the first major fight of this game to really set himself up further into it with a potential follow-up here. Well, you know, Zest is going to have such a hard time against.
I definitely liked that attack from Serral, but look at this Immortal count. With the 3 Robo, it's getting pretty out of control. That is a huge amount of Immortals right now. Of course, if you get to trigger their shields, if your Banelings and Hydras start connecting with them, you can wipe those out. But it seems like all Zest needs right now is 4 or 5 High Templars like this, and that army becomes just a Zerg-killing machine.
Yeah, Zest, he didn't have Storm yet. Finally, now that's going to complete. He needs to make sure he gets a lot of High Templars. Infestation Pit now going to start out of Serral. Serral was a little bit hesitant. I think he wanted to go for the multi-pronged attack here on this army, but then he realized there might just be too much, so he's not going to risk it just yet. Goes for even Pneumatized Carapace here. Maybe try and stay on top of his scouting with everything. Maybe drop later on as well, possibility. But he's actually going to attack here into this. I guess Serral's close to maxing out, has started to build a bank, so he wants to get as good trades as he can here. Even if he's pushed back, he will be okay for Serral as long as he doesn't completely get crushed, which actually is kind of happening right now.
Yeah, like he started out okay. He erased the Archons very quickly, got rid of the Sentry, but so many Immortals left over. Again, 3 Immortals at a time is a huge amount. In the meantime, this Prism gets taken out as Serral retreats, but Zest's army continues to grow.
How many Immortals is Zest on?
He has to be, yeah, 11 Immortals already.
On his way to 13 with the 2 more that he's getting. Needs to build up some energy. You know what Serral has done very well? Preventing that 4th base from going up.
Yeah.
While expanding himself. And I think he's going to want to look to try and continue and do that. Nice moonwalking from these Immortals here. They need to shoot a little bit better, though. Banelings are going to start on connecting onto a lot of this army.
And it looks like he's rolling up that hill. The Baneling's not getting the greatest connections, but you know what he did there? He forced all the High Templars to turn into Archons, so still we haven't seen a single Psy Storm. We're on minute 12 of Hydraling Bane not being stormed, and that is making it so hard for Zest to expand.
And the plan for Serral here might be clear. Just don't let the 4th base ever go up. Keep on trading with Zest. As long as he can do that, he has this perfect economy on his side of the map. Still looking to try and move up that ramp here. High Templars, you need to start storming, guys, because otherwise I think Zest is going to die here.
Well, he doesn't have Storm ready at the moment. He's trying to save up that energy. The Immortals trying to hold on tight here. That's a very dangerous army from Serral that continues to poke in, but he does back up. Looks like a Storm going down. Finally, the first Storms of the game. They do a pretty good job, but the actual army of Zest has been weakened quite a bit. More Zerglings flowing in, some Zealots coming in and trying to keep these Immortals alive. Some good micro at the last moment from Zest, and he keeps a reasonable army, but his economy is just not up to par.
Yeah, and I mean, the Zerg from there, the production is absolutely insane. Like, he's just going to be able to keep on swarming. Zest, he keeps on struggling to try and retake that 4th base. There is no way he can set up any better than he is. All he has to get is Immortals, High Templars, and Chargers, and try to defend as well as he can, but every time, Serral gets good enough trades to do a follow-up attack that keeps on doing the same thing and the same thing. And I'm pretty sure that Serral's not going to slow down. He's going to keep on attacking into this, keep on trading with this. The splits are just not there from Zest. Oh, he loses all the Templars.
A huge explosion there. The High Templars basically gone. So are the Zealots. Only a handful of Immortals left. And, I mean, this is almost a finishing blow. GG. Serral taking map number 1. Definitely a very good game, but kind of an odd strategy from Zest, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, almost every time that we see that Darkstrand opener nowadays, I feel like it loses. Yeah. I'm like, hey, it's good that they're mixing in different builds. Boom. Yeah. Game over, they lose. So a little bit weird. Not sure if Zest wasn't that confident in his target play here on this map.
Well, I tell you what, that's an old fallback for Zest, to be honest. He's one of the best DT openers with Archon drop players in the world, but I don't know. We'll give him a minute to think about what to do into game number 2. And in the meantime, let's check how the other games are going.
That's right. The Council of Analysis is back between the games to figure out what's going on in the other series. I do have Pig and Rotterdam here, I should say, with me. Pig, we're going to check in with you. We almost want to check in with Laptop 1 first, but the game just ended, and that's how things go. So we're going to check in with Rogue and Nurtio. How did things go down there, Pig?
Very, very quick, very decisive. Unfortunately, Nurtio has been eliminated from the chances of it progressing. It was a very quick 0-2 to Rogue. We can hop into this game here on the second laptop and take a look at how it went down in the second game. It wasn't pretty. It was an early spawning pool rush. Sorry, that's 8 times speed, isn't it? There we go. Slow that down. And basically, he was just going for a hatch cancel, and Nurtio with a bit of uncharacteristic mismicro. Notice his Zerglings getting surrounded in the south side, and his drones have already taken a lot of damage. And we're going to see Rogue actually separate and get a great angle, surrounds a bunch of these Zerglings. The drones, by the time they came out to start fighting, all the Zerglings were gone. Even more Zerglings get surrounded. The Queen pops out, immediately surrounded as well. And Nurtio just had enough at that point. He knew he'd already taken so much damage, he tapped out. So that was after dying to a big Ling Bane pressure in game number 1. A little bit of a brutal series. It was done and dusted in under 10 minutes, James.
That's right. And Pig, you know, you're watching it at ×8 speed. We're not all quite like you. We can't watch games like that fast, especially Zerg versus Zerg, where you just see Ling, Roach, Baneling explosion, like someone would look at the Matrix. So thank you very much for just slowing it down a little bit for us there. We're going to check in as well with Mr. Rotterdam. You did have Impact versus Neeb.
Yeah, game 2 just ended though, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to hop into game number 3 because you guys are going to see 12 or 14 drones mining in your base. That's not very interesting. Impact played very well though for all the Impact fans out there. Game 2 he looked great. He did some lurker drops. He maxed out on Roach, Hydra, lurker. And I actually felt that Neeb was doing the traditional thing, Mass Immortal, Storm, Archon. It felt it was really close, but Neeb actually didn't have Zealot charge and he kept warping in Zealots everywhere, where normally he would be able to take care of like a little run by because he warped in 8 Zealots. This time he was taking a lot of damage because slow Zealots are just terrible in that phase in the game. So he lost over 40 Zealots while all of them being slow. He did have Resonating Glaive, so I kind of felt he should have just gone for some adepts.
Yeah.
But yeah, Impact even up the store, and I'll let you know what happens in game 3.
Thank you very much, Rotterdam, for that update, and thank you very much, Pig, as well. Time to head back over to Serral versus Zest. Currently 1-0 to the Finnish Phenom.
All right, thanks, guys. It looks like Rogue continues to do well in this group, and if Serral can win as well, both those players really looking primed to go into the round of 12.
The Zerg era has began, Artosis, here in the Intel Extreme Masters.
I feel like it began a while ago. But definitely these two Zerg players doing exceedingly well right now. Of course, we did have Solar win his group yesterday also. We'll see if Serral can tie up his advancement here. Can he take out Zest with a 2-0 victory? Zest, he's kind of still playing for his life here. There's a lot of players right around the same score right now, and every map matters. Okay, game number 2 on Black-Pink is beginning. In the top right, in the blue, it's Serral. And in the bottom left, needing this victory now more than ever, it's Zest.
Both players very impressive in game number 1, and then there is a lot of army movements, like just some move outs and the way they position the army where you can tell like these are two of the absolute best players. And I almost see like a lot of the angles where a worse player might have engaged. Like, for example, when Zest moved out with the big Archon army and went into the 4th base of Serral, I think so many Zergs would have been like, all right, I need to save that, otherwise I'm in trouble. They would have tried to fight, lost everything, and lost the game right there and there. Not Serral. He has pretty close to flawless decision-making. He saw that army is like, there is too much for me to handle. I'll cancel my 4th and retake it in a minute, when I soon will have enough to retake it. And upon seeing how many Archons there were, Serral was like, wait a second. This guy is not going for a Templars. He's spending all of this gas into these Archons, which become worse when I reach something like 20 plus Hydralisks, plus a lot of Banelings to go for my own attack. So what does he do? Just that. Wins the game slowly but surely, eventually later on, thanks to some great fight positioning and attacks with some flawless macro at the same time. I don't want to make it sound too easy, you know? Like
oh, well, it's not easy, too. Here's the thing, right? Like, even at the pro level, sometimes Serral will move down that ramp, and kill that army, right? And he'll be fine. But the thing is, if Zest nails those force fields, for instance, he kills a big chunk of your army, and he kills your base. So that's no good. There's so many situations exactly like that in StarCraft 2, where if the execution is spot on, you are going to be punished the moment you make the wrong move.
I feel like a lot of Korean players, they really respect Serral at this point. We heard earlier from Rogue that he knows that Neeb and Serral, they're the two best non-Korean players. And I feel like Zest, for him to be playing this aggressive, like, it really feels like he respects Serral and he knows that it's going to be a tough task ahead. So he needs to make something happen, something aggressive early on, needs to gain some momentum. And this game is going to be through some quick oracles, I'm guessing, to try and kill some drones and get very far ahead. Actually, if Zest would disguise his build the way he did it last game, that would be so sick.
Whoa, that would be really cool, like if he popped out a stock or showed it or something like that. But he actually has a second Adept on the way. Now, I think he's going to try to pressure with them a little bit. There's enough Lings on the way that he can get punished for that. Yeah. But if he can slow the Spores down at all, that's going to be helpful. Already, the Oracle will get there a few seconds before it normally would, and that's all you need for additional drone kills. But any more that he can actually distract Serral to slow that down is just going to add up the damage.
Zest is making Serral worry so much about those Adepts that he hopes Serral will forget to make the Spores, in which case the Oracle flies in, kills like 10 drones.
Ooh, the Spore should be started by now. Okay, it gets started right this second, but the first Oracle is going to fly in. With only a Queen there, a lot of drones can be picked off. He just has some micro very precisely.
Yeah, Serral sees this coming thanks to one of his overlords. He's going to move the drones away, maybe move them back into the middle line. No, goes closer to some more Queens. Only 3 drones die and the Oracle almost goes down. Fantastic defense from Serral, who now will have his Spores up. And Zest, by the way, invested so much into this. It's not just the proxy Stargates and the Oracles. He chrono boosted the Adepts a bunch of time. So he wasn't chrono boosting out probes.
No, the 3 drones is actually not enough. And now the fact that he loses this pylon, he loses this Stargate, he doesn't even have a Phoenix out to push away Overlords or to do additional scouting. This is tough. Zest has to get more damage done than that.
And Serral is going to start to get completely out of control here on that drone count. So Oracle flies in to get one more snipe. Going to be forced away as Zest gets supply blocked. I'm going to start some additional pylons there as early as possible to make sure that doesn't last too long. And Twilight Council and Robo on the way, no surprise. I mean, you don't really start triple Stargate back at home after this splash.
No, probably not. Well, this is a very tough situation for Zest right now. He was looking for that early advantage, that early damage, and absolutely did not get it. What he got was a couple of bruised Oracles, a supply block, and 2 dead Adepts.
Yeah, that sounds like pretty bad scenario here.
Yeah, it's certainly not ideal. We can definitely say that. Looks like the Templar Archives on the way, as well as Charge. A couple more gates being added. Zest is definitely a player that likes to utilize early Charge Zealots with Archons and a Warp Prism to do some damage. Yeah. But with Roaches already on the way, it seems to me like Serral is covering all of his bases.
Yeah, Serral in this situation, he's so good at analyzing what's happening, even without having the info. Like, he tried to fly an Overlord in the main base, didn't see much. But I think he knows like what's the most likely transition, because it's almost always the same here from there. Zest actually, whoa, he added 4 more gates?
Yeah, it looks like he really wants to get aggressive with that. So he's gone up to, what, 7 gates or so right now?
I think he had, yeah.
6 gates?
No, 8 gates.
8 gates?
Yeah, because he got 2 warp gates, 2 that he didn't morph yet, and 4 more. Yeah.
Oh, there we go, there we go.
8 gates!
All right.
So that's a massive commitment. Like, as much as he starts a Nexus, this is almost pretend here.
Yes, this is a placeholder Nexus, as I like to say. He puts it down, but he's actually going to go attack. This is making Serral think that this is going to be a normal game, but there is nothing normal about it. Zest is going to go absolutely ham.
Serral is investing so much effort into scouting as well, running some links around the wall at a natural. Now he sees 2 Archons being dropped. He must be starting to smell what's happening here. He got a little whiff. Now it's all about getting enough Roaches to make sure he can kite properly, which is the appropriate response to charge loads and Archons. And thanks to that magnificent creep spread, by the way, he gets the full information. 3 more Queens on the way. Serral's doing the right thing. He's making a ton of units. Zest is making probes, though.
Oh, he's actually walking around the army with a big group of Roaches right now. Zest hasn't really been warping anything with his Prism, though. He's been warping in at home, kind of hiding what he has as far as units goes.
This is a scary army right there. It feels like Zest is missing his Archons. Be able to fight it properly. Some roaches get force fielded in. He's gonna hear Serral try and trade against some of these sentries. Charge lots get warped in. A little bit of an overextension by Serral, but I guess these are a little bit more expendable. A Baneling that's starting.
Look at this great Archon jumping going on, Todd. He's actually picking off a lot of these units.
Serral realizes that he's gonna be once again a lot of Archons and Charge Lots. He's like, you know what's great against Charge Lots cramping up? Banelings.
Oh, yeah.
So I think Serral is just going to get a ton of Roaches, which in itself does really good against this army. Make a bunch of Banelings and then maybe try and attack before Storm is finished, which Storm actually, it feels like it starts a lot earlier than it did in the previous time around.
Well, he didn't get his Templar Archives until like 10 minutes last game, so definitely a lot faster this time. I think that Zest is going to be completely fine against any aggression, to be honest. Like, he's got a pretty good standing army. He's forced so many Roaches here out of Serral. And while Roaches definitely can be useful, he needs Baneling speed before he can attack. And Storm will be done in time for that.
Serral actually goes into +1 melee, so you can always expect Serral from there if he completes that +1 and then +2 to drop some Banelings into those mineral lines and do some simultaneous drops to make sure that it's as hard as possible for a Protoss player to be able to handle that. But Aspire actually starts from there.
Oh, okay.
I guess he killed the Stargate in start. Nobody really ever makes Stargates from there, so...
Yeah, that's a good point.
For Zest to be able to counter this, you would need to go into Blink Stalkers, but then the bases are spread apart, and we all saw what the pack of Mutas can do, flying around and killing stuff all over the place.
And actually, this is really cool because he's getting Baneling speed right now. If you think about the really older style of Zerg vs. Protoss, if you go like Roach Ravager, plus some Zerglings, plus some speed Banelings, and your opponent starts countering that, right? They get things like Psy Storms, a few Archons, a lot of Immortals. If you go into Mutas from there, then suddenly you force out these Blink Stalkers, which do terribly against this army.
Absolutely. I remember like there used to be so many type of Muta builds. Like you could go for Muta pure base trade and just be ready to counterattack, but some Zergs, they made like 20 to 30 Mutas, and then they made only Banelings on the ground. They were like, please make as many Stalkers as you can.
Well, the 9 Mutas, the 13 Mutas now. This definitely can force Blink Stalkers out.
And here's the thing, Zest is not ready.
He has no idea.
He's getting a bunch of cannons, almost as if he was maybe getting ready. Where are those cannons?
I think, those are just at the third.
Around the third,
That's just defensive against harassment, you know, if Banelings roll in or something.
Where do the Mutas go? Usually when they pop, they go straight for the main base. For the natural, they start taking out probes. They force Stalkers being warped in.
And again, those Stalkers are going to be terrible against the type of army that Serral has right now. So this is some great play considering he killed the Stargate early on. It was a great call from you, Yoan. But there is a Stargate on the way. Maybe Zest starting to sniff this out a little bit, saying, hey, why aren't you attacking me all? What's going on?
By the way, what Zest was doing just now was so dangerous. If you get surrounded while you're on the map like this, you're not going to have time to recall. You'll lose everything instantly. Now the Mutas are going to fly in. Zest has to react. This might just trigger an attack, but Serral is fully ready back at home. He almost wants Zest to attack into him. This is so dangerous, guys. The army is not even tagged, so Zest has no idea where it is.
Oh, this is going to be very tough. He does have force fields, he does have Archons, he does have Psy Storm, but to walk in blind to try to make this work is going to be a tough one. Oh man, Serral even hunting down High Templars on the other side. We need some force fields. They actually do not hit.
So many Banelings connected to those Immortals. They are left with so little hit points, but then the wave of Roach and Ravagers in Queens is going to be attacking this army. I think the Mutas are flying back potentially as well. Drones being transferred to survive from these Zealots. Let's see if Serral can hold on properly here. It looks like he's doing fine, even though he's getting stormed a lot.
Oh, this is really rough for Zest right now. He actually recalls, kills the hatchery, gets 12. But the value of army that he lost there, that feels like an absolute victory for Serral.
Look at the army numbers here. Artosis, 107 for Serral, 53 for Zest. Serral's still going to stay very patient. He doesn't know if there are Zealots out on the map ready to attack one of his bases. So he keeps the ground back at home and flies across the map with the Mutas. I mean, there could be like 5 Phoenixes here. It still would be very hard to deal with this many Mutas because of the acceleration, where they can turn around and actually hit those Phoenixes. It's a full-time job to babysit those Phoenixes.
You're completely right about that. That's why people try to get Phoenix range against this many Mutalisks. But he doesn't have the money. He doesn't have the time for that right now. He just has to heavily micro these, which means it's hard to hold on against other attacks.
Serral is so good at multitasking and splitting his units, sends the links onto the 4th base. He's going to be able to get the snipe, and he's threatening around the 3rd base at the same time, knowing that the ground army of Zest will move down there to try and deal with the Zerglings. Serral is just everywhere.
Man, tactically, Serral is playing one of the most beautiful games we've seen all tournament long right now. Zest, though, he's trying his best to pick something up here. His micro on these Phoenixes is nothing short of amazing. He's doing a fantastic job of continually bruising these, unfortunately losing some of those Phoenixes.
That acceleration is no joke, Artosis.
Yeah.
From 0 to 200 miles in just 1 click. It takes 1 second to go that fast.
All right.
Now, Zest is in a position where he can do nothing else than really camp back at home. Maybe send some Zealots here and there, but Broodlords are being morphed across the map. And we've all seen what Serral can do. He can make magic happen with these Broodlords. He's always going to go for a massive siege as well. I mean, Zest right now is barely able to counter Mutas. He's not going to do well against Broodlords.
No, certainly not. Phoenixes are not the counter to that. He's making more Archons. In fact, I would say Broodlords counter Archons as well. This is about as bad as it can really be. I think the only thing Zest can do is this exactly. Do some counterattacks. Get in there. Force him to chase you around, because if Serral gets a full-on attack, I don't think Zest can live.
Serral is going to set up with a full siege of his massive army. There are 122 army supply to 81. He's got +2 melee. That's going to affect those Banelings, those Broodlings. Zest is trying to make 2 more Stargates. Too little, too late, buddy. He might have to go for a base trade. I actually think that might be Zest's best chance. And upon realizing that, Serral sees the army on the creep. He starts to move back.
Will he move back all the way?
Recall might be back by now.
Yeah, it's got to be close at least. If
he's got recall.
Yeah, if he can run over here, kill a base, he's forcing the army to come back. So what Zest is doing right now is really quite brilliant. Oh man, a huge kill off there. Oh well.
Everything dies except 2 Archons.
Oh my gosh.
There goes that recall, not fast enough.
No, that was a little bit brutal. So, well, he kills a base, he prevents himself from dying immediately, and he's making Void Rays. So the Void Rays are actually going to be really useful. He's going to go up to 4 or 5 in a moment here. And I mean, 4 or 5 are going to kill the Corruptors.
Yeah, but not the Queens.
Yeah, the Queens are going to be a little bit harder, but it does take them longer to get here. Another Zealot counterattack. Zest trying to keep him busy. Look at the mini-map. Serral turning a huge chunk of his army around, but definitely leaving a piece of it over to continue the attack.
He turned the mobile army around, which I love. The Roaches, the Zerglings, the Banelings. He's going to clean up the Zealots, rejoin the rest of his army, and then go for the fight. I'm not sure there is enough Void Rays to really deal with this army here from Zest.
Yeah, it's very tough with that many Queens involved. The transfusions are really going to keep everything alive for a while. Look at the number of Banelings coming up right now. Oh. That is a huge amount of Banelings, and he gets a storm off, but not before they kill 22 probes.
And those Void Rays are going to come in as the last-ditch effort here from Zest. There's so many Queens who have quite a few transfuses available. Artosis, this might just be it here. Serral with the Swarm Zerg style completely taking over this game.
He is in control. There is no question about that. The Void Rays being picked off here and there. Nice save there by Zest. He still hasn't lost his 3rd base, but when he does, that's basically game.
We're back on purple-blue, by the way.
Yeah.
Look at the minimap. So impressive. Serral on the verge of being 4-0 in this group here.
That is a solid first place. And GG, Serral knocks down Zest 2-0. Just phenomenal play out of our Finnish Zerg. He is dominating so far in Group C.
Making Zerg versus Protoss look like a piece of cake.
Yeah. And I tell you what, it is no piece of cake. And make some noise for Serral. Such a strong Zerg player. I think at this point, you have to consider him one of the favorites of the tournament.
Oh, absolutely. He's playing out of his mind. And it's so good to see our recent WCS champion playing as well here in another premier tournament.
All right, well, we're going to jump to a quick break, and when we come back, more StarCraft action.
It was the recent WCS Leipzig champion going up against a two-time GSL champion, and it's Serral that comes out on top over Zest. So first of all, congratulations, Serral. You remain undefeated in your group, and you remain undefeated against Zest. Did everything just work out as you expected in that series?
Yeah, I was kind of expecting to win, but at the same time, after having such a hard games against Neep, I was kind of worried about Zest. But I think the pool orders went pretty good for me, and yeah, I'm happy with that.
Well, speaking of Neep, I definitely want to bring up that third game because it turned into such a long, scrappy game, especially when you're going up against so many Immortals. How were you able to finally take that win?
I think he did one crucial mistake. He was winning the whole game with the massive. He had so many Immortals in the end, but then he started splitting his army a bit too much, and I got it a couple of times and killed like 5-10 Immortals, so I think that's why he lost. But the game was a bit too scrappy for my taste, for sure.
Well, scrappy or not, like I said, you remain undefeated, and you have one more opponent to beat if you want to maintain that perfect record, and it's Nurchio. Now, the last time you played Nurchio was at Leipzig in the quarterfinals, and back then you defeated him 3-0. So do you think we can see a similar sort of result today?
I think Nurchio was a hard opponent. I can't really predict the score, but I hope I can do the same.
Sounds great. Congratulations again, Serral. Best of luck in that last match against Nurchio. James Kaelaris, back to you.
That's right, James, Kaelaris, Carrol, here back at the battle station.
Battle Concave.
The battle, battle concave. You're mixing the memes. I like it. I like it.
You've used battle. You know, the battle desk. It's been used too many times.
Well, it's true, the battle station.
Yeah.
But then there's other names that are kind of like stem off from there. It's like, you know, a very growing tree. Anyway, that was That's
We're here to derail you, you know.
Great intro, James. Great intro.
Jeff couldn't make it, and without in control here, you know, we're just trying to step in and fill those shoes.
They're not fillable. All right, we're going to check in with Rotterdam, who had Impact versus Neeb going on.
Yep, and I've paused the game somewhere in Game 3. Obviously not an actual pause, a replay pause, and we can go ahead and jump into Game 3. Just to talk to you guys about it real quick. So far, this game didn't go great for Neeb. He once again opened up with a bunch of Adepts with Resonating Glaives. As you guys can see here in the upgrades, he does have Glaives. But he didn't really do much damage. You can see only 7 drones went down in this game. Also has 2 Oracles. And then Impact surprised him once again with a Muda switch. And the Muda switch actually got a kill on multiple of these sentries. And that's kind of where I'm going to resume the game. You can see these Mudas, they're still just flying around. But Neeb actually just felt that his army was strong enough to walk towards the other side of the map and bring the fight to Impact, because he's like, hey, you made Mudas, that means you don't have much on the ground, right? Well, apparently he did, James. He did have quite a bit on the ground. You can see there is a lot of Zerg units here. Neeb is trying to micro a little bit, but Impact coming forward one more time. Mudas right-clicking on the Prism, doing a little bit of damage, eventually getting, well, the kill almost, or at least forcing it to return. And Impact's just moving forward, and there's too much swarm. That's
too much Zerg, man.
Too much Zerg. You know that feeling, Pig.
We can fast forward a tiny bit, but this was pretty much the ending. Impact just sending everything towards Neeb's side of the map. Neeb wiping in a few Zealots, but just like that, Impact wins that series. A very big win. Puts himself in a great spot to potentially advance to the round of 12. And Neeb right now is in a very dire situation. It is still possible, but things are looking very grim.
That final situation there on Acid Plant looks not dissimilar to our Serral versus Zest going on just before. And actually, Pig, I want to talk to you about that. Look at how Serral is performing. And once again, 2 years in a row, Group C of the Intel Extreme Masters round of 24, Serral beat Zest again.
Yeah, and he did it just much more decisively. You know, that's the difference from last year. Serral was coming into his own. Now he's there. He's on the stage. He's done it before, and he's very calm. He doesn't seem stressed out up there. I feel like from the young kid who had a lot of aspirations and a lot of promise, he's now the guy who people out there, the fans, you know, on social media are saying, oh, I'm not even surprised. Like, this is just kind of what we expect from Serral now. He's getting to that point. So I mean, it's a great staging point going into the, into the top 12. Last time around, he got to the top 8. He came first in his group, and then he went out 0-3. But I don't think anyone imagines it going that way this time around.
No, I think at the beginning of the week of this tournament, I think a lot of people looked at Serral as a outsider to win the tournament. Like, it's possible, but then you're maybe dreaming a little bit because there were other names we would look at first. In my opinion, with the way that Serral is playing right now, the form that he's showing, I think he's a very real contender. Just like Artosis said, he could potentially win the entire thing.
Yeah, who knows?
And that's really unreal, actually.
That's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. You can see the results here from Group C so far. What I do want to mention, and it's a little bit of a tangent from Group C here, is that Group D has already begun. And due to our slight technical delays that we had earlier, we felt it was best to begin Group D so that we can make sure that all the crew here, all the talent, all the players have got as ample rest as possible going into the round of 12 and the round of 8 tomorrow, as those are obviously extremely important matches as well. And actually, Pig, I'm going to check in with you just briefly because you did have SOS versus Ryung game number 1 and 2 potentially.
Yeah, the series is ongoing. A lot of action-packed games. SOS bringing out some antics, and I'm looking forward to. I'm going to keep my eye on it and hopefully have a full update of the decisive moments in the next break when we come back.
Yeah, that sounds good. We're not truly officially announcing the start of Group D, obviously, here on the mainstream, but the games have begun and they will be continuing. But don't worry, because you'll be able to get to see all of your favorite players from there. We'll have all of the guys on the main stage, and we'll be able to check in with all of the games as the time progresses. We're going to go to a short break, and then when we return, more action here from the Intel Extreme Masters.
All eyes are on you.